We are live. Hey everyone. Welcome to the Friday session with Geek Out. You can see it's we're down one person. No, that's all right. Susan is visiting family, and so we're like, hey, be with family. She's like, thanks. And so we're like, Dan and I are holding down the fort. It's like the inmates are running the asylum. Watch out. No, it's good to be here today with you, Dan. I know we have a lot to talk about. So super exciting. All right, so let's give you, if you guys are here with us, give us a little shout out. I think that's Madison in the hey. And let me just make sure so I can see your comments here, Madison. I'm gonna go in there. And then we are streaming into our YouTube and into our Facebook group. So hey Madison, it's good to see you. Okay, so today we have a whole list of stuff that we want to talk to you about, but most importantly is we did have a pulse with Russell this week, so we want to give you up to speed on what happened there. Super exciting. And then Dan has been a crazy madman video creator, and for those of you guys who are maybe not as familiar with the Dan magic, I know when I came into the funnel world, Dan's videos were just a godsend. They helped me out so much with all the nuance. Like, yeah, but like I don't want marketing. I want like super detailed how to. And Dan is awesome at that. Like he kind of leaves no stone unturned, and you understand it very deeply with your videos, Dan. So and you have, true to form, produced several of those videos in the past week relative to the things that are happening in 2.0. So if nothing else from today, I want to make sure everybody on the call and everybody who watches this, you at least are aware of the videos that Dan has out there free and available to you, because they will change your 2.0 world. One in particular that is a major pain point that he has solved. So we will talk about that.
Hopefully.
I think so. I think it's looking
Well,
good.
I'm still trying to get more people to test it for me. So once again, I mean, well, first off, the link is in the group,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I just need more people to go in there, test it, and give me feedback, and let me know if it's working for them, because I haven't had anybody say it's not working. So I'm either nobody's tested it or it's working just fine.
Yep.
Not sure
And
which.
and I'm going to just so people aren't in torture of like, what are you talking about? Give us the goods. Let me share my screen here. So one of the biggest pain points with 2.0 is A, the fact that they force a subdomain. Dumb. But B, the fact that I have a main domain. So like it's geekout.com. And we want to control which funnel geekout.com goes to. Right. So two problems: lame subdomain that we don't want to deal with. And second one is I want my main domain, my root domain, to go to a funnel, not my funnel hub. So as of right now, ClickFunnels doesn't provide a solution to address either of those things very well, if at all. So what Dan has done, and I'm going to share my screen, is he has given us a solution. And this, let me give you actually a real world use case that just happened in my world. All right. I'm going to share my entire screen. All right, there we go. Can you guys, there we go. All right, so it is this one in particular that he's using a little winter inspired AI here, right here.
Well, I mean, Winter's great at AI, but I don't know as though he inspired that.
Oh, come on, you're
But
not
that
going to give
is
it to
the
him? Dan, just
image of
give
the
it
gal was
to
the
him.
image of the gal was generated using Midjourney.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, so this is Dan giving us that solution on how to address those two issues: the weird subdomain that you don't want, and the root domain pointing to a funnel and not your funnel hub. Now, real world scenario. I have a client right now. She was going on a podcast and she got the domain www.something.com, right? So she's going on to the podcast. The last thing you want to do on a podcast is say, go to www. Blah, blah, blah. No, the reason why we have root domains and short domains is so that you can just say it and somebody knows where they're going. So it is, instead of go to www, no, like go to blah.com, right? That's what we would want instead. And so what Dan has provided and what I am slowly but surely implementing is she no longer has to say the www, and she can just say the root, even though technically the funnel is /gift. right? But she just says the root, and I can point the funnel at that root. So that is what that video is. And like Dan said, if you try it, we have active comments and people trying it out and giving feedback. So definitely interested in anybody and everybody who wants to try that out and give it a whirl. Dan, you want to add anything on that?
Well, what I was going to say is in 1.0, as everybody recalls, you can set it up as a subdomain or as a domain. They default you to www.mydomain.com, but you can always just delete off the www part and just put in there mydomain.com. You use a couple little tricks inside of Cloudflare, works great. And then you also set your default and your 404 pages in 1.0. So somebody can just type in mydomain.com and it will go to the funnel that you told it to go to. It'll go to the first step in the funnel. And so that's what people have been asking for. That's what people want, is that same functionality. And so that's what I did in this training here, is I show a couple of different ways to do it. So let's say your site in 2.0 is built on www.site1.com, we'll just say. You can then use just site1.com and actually point it at a funnel if you choose, or you can point it at a page. You can point it anywhere you want, realistically. Or you can have a completely unrelated domain name as well. So again, mydomain.com, not already related to 2.0, doesn't even have to point to 2.0 at all. You could just have mydomain.com, but it will redirect then to the first page in the funnel inside of 2.0. And so I probably show 10, 12 different use cases of how you can set it up different ways. And that's what took me so long to do this, is every time I started shooting videos on this, it's like, okay, well, here came another use case and here came another use case. And I'm just like, okay, well, I got to figure out how to get them all in there so that I've covered at least 90, 95% of everybody who's going to want to try to do this. And I think I did find one today, and I forget what it was exactly off the top of my head, but I think I found one today. I was like, I forgot to I know what it was. Somebody asked me today, how do you redirect a domain you purchased on 1.0 from ClickFunnels? Mm-hmm. How do you redirect that over there? And I'm pretty sure what you do in that case, instead of using Cloudflare, you can change your name servers, your CNAMEs, and all that stuff right within ClickFunnels 1.0 itself.
Because you have to point it at Cloudflare and then you manage it through Cloudflare, though, right?
Well,
you don't have DNS management.
In that case, I don't think you're going to need to point it at Cloudflare. I think you can just redirect it straight away into, because what they have inside of 1.0, I forget, it says edit zone records. I'm pretty sure, but I don't have any domains that I purchased through 1.0, so I can't test it.
You can't. I don't think you can. You have to actually be it, because I think it's actually like a special request. I don't think that you can really do a lot of management on your domains inside of ClickFunnels.
Okay. Well, we'll find out if that person gets back to me. I answered their question. We'll see if they get back to me or not.
Which is, on that note, I think I'm going to say it until just I'm blue in the face and people are exhausted of it. Don't buy your domains on ClickFunnels. Don't buy your domains on ClickFunnels. Just buy it on a host and use Cloudflare and then connect it to ClickFunnels. Don't buy your domain on ClickFunnels.
Well, it's better now that the way they have it connected now to Google domains is much better than the old process that they had. Especially if you ever wanted to pull that domain out, if you want to pull that domain out of ClickFunnels, it was like a 60-day process.
Right, exactly.
My understanding now is if you have a Google domain account, I'm pretty sure you can go into that account and you can see your domain right in there.
You can, but I would say Google domains, GoDaddy, these are places that they make it very, very, very difficult for you to pull your domain out or manage your DNS. They're trying to make it too user-friendly, you know what I mean? And so they hide a lot of it. So from my experience, it's very difficult to manage your domain or pull your domain out. That's why I do Namecheap.
Well, I would counter that and say I've been using GoDaddy for every one of my domains for the last 20 plus years, and I've never had any problem with changing the name servers or anything else. So that is my preferred place to get my domains, is GoDaddy.
Yeah.
And it's only because I've been using them for 20 years and then I have them all in one place.
Yeah, that is one thing. No matter who you choose, pick your pony and stay there, except for don't pick ClickFunnels.
Well, if you have not ever purchased any domain, what I would do now, because Cloudflare, you can buy domains now through Cloudflare.
That's
I would
awesome.
just go to Cloudflare and buy it there.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah, just cut out the
Yeah.
middleman.
Yep. I would say like domain hosts like Aweber and Bluehost too. Like I wouldn't recommend those, or like A2 or Bluehost, because they have this weird client portal and front end. Like it's a weird setup for their DNS management. Anyway, so but we're nerding out. But okay, so the other thing that happened this week was Russell, and he brought on a guest, one of a fan fave. I know he's a fave in our community, Ben Moot, which I was so happy to see Ben Moot there, because I usually say that of everybody in this world, the only person in this world that knows ClickFunnels and funnel strategy better than Russell is Ben Moot. So, and because Ben has spent so much time in seat just analyzing funnel after funnel after funnel after funnel. I mean, he had a whole podcast about funnel analysis, like, and he deep dove on funnels. Like, I would say his knowledge about funnels is, again, it's like Russell and then it's like Ben would be my take on everybody in the funnel world. He's pretty spectacular in terms of understanding funnel. Would you agree, Dan?
Yeah, he knows a little bit.
Can't give it to him. All right.
I hope Ben's watching. So yeah, no, Ben was an employee before Steve Larson was an employee, and Ben actually was instrumental in getting Steve Larson to work there. That's how far Ben goes back in this company. And then he was, well, I guess technically even right now, I don't believe he's an employee, but whatever, he's working for them, with them, whatever it looks like legally, I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's there in their offices all the time, which I don't understand. He lives on the East Coast and he's out in Boise all the time. So he must get a lot of frequent flyer miles.
Maybe. Yeah. Yep. But so Ben, I love seeing Ben on there with Russell. Just as I think somebody who can dive into the weeds. And I mean, they answered some pretty technical questions about universal products. So this week was all about universal products. Universal products was probably one of the highlights when 2.0 was announced. And the reason for this, for those of you who maybe don't have the pain of 1.0, is that every single time that I build a funnel in 1.0, even a funnel step, the products are associated with the funnel step. So like right now, even today, I'm building another funnel and it's the same funnel, it's the same product, but I want it to have a different page. And so I have to actually add a whole technically new product on the back end, even though it's the same product. So then it becomes a nightmare in just the reconciliation, because my product name I want to be the same because it's customer facing, but I need to then add like special tags and all this other stuff to know like, oh, this tag or this product is the same, but it came from this place. And it's kind of a nightmare. So universal products has basically now separated the funnel and the pages of the funnel from the products, which is fantastic. So if I'm selling an iPhone, right, it doesn't matter which funnel I try it with or what step that I'm working on. I can have the same actual product connected in with each of those, and I don't have to make 3 variations of this product in order to build my funnel. So, and I'm really loving too, just on some of like so they go really in depth on the universal products, and then how to think about products, meaning like you have your main product, you have your bump product, you have your OTO product, and all the different variations that you can have of that product. On the back end, for those of you who are maybe are not as familiar. So this is one of our funnels in GeekOut, for instance. The thing I really love the most, again, just the at a glance is just amazing. But you can see here that I can quickly look at, okay, this is the GeekOut Academy, and the GeekOut Academy has 2 prices, right? And so this is where it shows what those are, and I can see it. But then I come here to this one, and it's the same product, right? And then I also have an order bump. This is us experimenting with order bump, but I also have an order bump associated with that part or this one. So it's really nice to be able to deep dive into products and know that those are the same products. And then in addition to that, I can come into a central location where I can look and see what all my products are and see how they're performing. So anyway, just I do really love the universal products promise. However, with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. So just as Ben was deep diving on the Pulse this week, and talking about universal products, there's a lot of nuance to creating these products and the product management. And that's also what, as they were going into it, being able to edit products and add different bumps and be able to know, like, hey, what is selected, what is the base unselected, and just diving into all of those nuances of how do you present a product on a page. Dan, would you add anything more to that?
Well, what I would add to that is that I think it was last week. Was that it? Whatever, sometime in the last week or two, Susan and I and somebody else were on, I think it was the hot seat call on Thursday afternoons, that people who are in the academy can have access to the hot seat calls. And we started looking at the page that basically essentially Ben was building yesterday, and it's actually a Voomly sales page. And if you want to, Andrea,
Yes.
let me actually in Facebook chat, let me just drop the link in here for you.
Okay.
And pull up the page, because that's the original sales page. And also in the GeekOut group right now, I just dropped the link to the video I shot. So what it was is Susan and I started looking at this page. We're like, okay, we got to reverse engineer how they built this thing. So then when I got off the call with Susan, I shot a video showing exactly how to do what they did here. And so that video, like I said, I just dropped that into the group. That's one of 14 videos I've shot in the last 3 weeks, just teaching, well, basically just answering questions that either I had or people in the groups had.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. Anybody have a question, drop it in there. If I think it's worthy, I will make a video on it. And honestly, most of the time I think it's worthy.
Yeah.
But this is the page right here we were looking at. And essentially, this is more or less what Ben was walking through yesterday, is how to set this up. But Andrea, if you click on there where it says Voomly Light and then go down to like the third one down, what you're going to see is then it pops open a secondary input underneath there, where you can then choose. I think it's monthly or annually. So, like I said, in the video we just dropped into the group, it goes through and shows you exactly how to set that whole thing up. And as you get in there and you start going and you see all the different variations you can make and how you can change the images based upon which one of the things that they clicked on. And then there was even some stuff in there that went so far I didn't even want to click on it, because I was like, okay, I rebuilt this thing. I don't want to go to the next level yet, because you can start doing like variations of variations of variations and leveling this up. And I was just like, okay, that's too much for today.
Well, and the thing that they didn't answer on that note, Ben, or is Dan, is that they, Russell has always been this person that's like, a confused mind always says no. So don't give them so many choices. And so in this model, it makes sense because it's a subscription, right? But it's like, are we starting to violate the basic principles of funnel philosophy, you know what I mean, with the power of all of these variations? Because people who don't necessarily know the strategy, right, are going to go crazy, and they're going to be like, oh, here's a bunch of options, you know what I mean?
I think part of Russell's problem is when he built 1.0, he did build it with we got these sales funnels and we're selling stuff. Yeah. But now what they have to do in order to build the platform they want to be able to build is they got to be competing with Shopify, and they got to be competing with everybody else, and people are coming in and wanting these things. And so I think part of that is the pressure that is on here to build this. But Russell's using it himself. They're testing all this stuff themselves. That's the beauty of these guys building it, is they're testing it on the fly with their own products, with their own businesses, their own company, their own money. running ads, millions of dollars worth of ads are running at these things just to be able to test it for us to be able to then use it eventually. And
Right.
yeah, sometimes is it broken? Oh yeah, we've all experienced that, no doubt. But I think in the long run, they're going to have an incredible product.
Oh no, I have no doubt. I think it's more of just even though it can do it, I think we will continuously be challenged and encouraged into the conversation of should it, does it align with the funnel philosophy of that confused mind always says no. Gabby has decided to join us. A confused mind always says no. You know what I mean? Or like, are we making it too complicated kind of concept?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Many
it's going to
choices.
be up to every single individual, and they get to spend their money and their time building what they choose, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Right. Yep. Okay. The other thing too, that just to make the connection, and Ben didn't necessarily say this, but I do see it on the Voomly one, and that is the ability to do state. I know this is really important, especially if you are wanting to collect taxes, if you're local, or just wanting that for tax reasons. So the state and the country now, I believe, are on the contact record. So before they weren't. So there's a drop down now on state. And the reason I know that is because if you go to the Pulse, you will also see a page for updates. And so you can see here now today or on the 17th, there was a product update for the states and being able to do that state selection. And then down below, it also talks about it being on the contact record.
Well, yeah, and one of the reasons I wanted to show this update page here and just kind of remind people where to go, I can't see what the URL is, but the reason why I did this is when they first came out with these updates, it was developer speak.
Right.
It was like one little line that says "fix the bug, bug
Right.
fix regarding blah blah something." I was like, what in the hell does that mean?
Foreign language. But we did stuff. Yeah.
So when I flipped this on the other day and I looked at it, I was like, holy cow, they've
Yeah.
got the graphics in here. They're explaining what it is that they just put in. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I mean, this is just huge because now anybody can look at this and go, oh, I didn't know they had that feature. And they have the feature just based upon the fact that they fixed it or built it in or turned it on. And now Russell said the other day that one of like the top 5 requested features was going to be turned on. He thought by the end of this week. I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet. Maybe they didn't hit the deadline at the end of the week, but something's coming big in the next couple of days. Don't know what it's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to probably be to be able to bulk import. That's definitely. I think that's actually the number one request. If you go to your feature requests, we can sort by the top one. I think the importing, I think, is like the very top one.
I think so, because I know like a lot of my clients actually are Kajabi converts. I'm getting a lot of Kajabi converts now. And the number one reason why they're not coming over yet is because we can't do the bulk import. I will say though, if you are in that mix and you don't mind like hiring a cheap VA or at nighttime sitting in front of the TV and doing it yourself, I did create an opt-in page for one of my clients for her just to manually bring over all of her contacts from Kajabi. Because she wants to switch over and reduce that tech cost. So the cost of what it would hire or spend in her own time to move those 2,000 contacts or whatever was worth it. So it was just a really simple opt-in.
How did you have them move over?
It manually, like it's just an opt-in page, and she's entering their email and their name in, and then I have it tagged as original source Kajabi. So in the database, we know.
Well, and another thing you can do, and it's a good way to refresh your list and know who's still interested, is you send a couple of emails out to everybody. It's like, hey, I'm moving over to this new platform. I got some great gifts, bonuses, whatever, over there for you. Go on over there, opt in, you'll get it all, blah, blah, blah. And that's a good way to find out who's actually paying attention to your list, because if you send out 2,000 emails and only 100 people open them, well, you got 100 real customers then, and 1,900 people who you sent it to an account they never look at.
I don't know that I would agree with that entirely. I would say you have 100 that are definitely for sure buyers. I think that we are so inundated with email these days. I think like I don't have to open email to know what's going on with that email. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that I got it, So I don't know. It's an interesting That one's an interesting one. But I agree with you, Dan, in that like having them actually opt in would be a time saver. So you're not having to do it manually. If you do that.
Yeah, that seems like an awful lot of work to do it like that.
But yeah, import context you were right.
Yeah. Well, if you go up to the top where it says trending and you click on that, I think you can click on top on the left-hand side and it'll give you the top. Well, it'll sort them in order. So import contacts, I can't see share funnels.
Yep, domain, homepage to funnel it. Hey, so Dan has a fix for that.
What's the third one say? I can't see it. Shared.
It's domain setup for homepage, and then Zapier integration, survey element, it's so interesting to me, like what people think they're going to get with the survey element. I know you did a video on this, Dan, is not at all what they actually get. So I don't know. It's interesting to me that everyone wants the survey element. Well, it's not interesting that they want it. I get that, but it's like I think a lot of people don't think about like what am I actually going to do with the data? Because right now,
I think everybody kind of says survey, and some people think of like Google Sheet as a survey.
Yeah.
For me, a survey element inside of a funnel is more something that very quickly sorts and sifts these people and sends them into a certain direction.
Yeah.
Whereas putting in a type form where you fill out 12 different questions and you put in answers, that to me isn't a survey. That's a questionnaire. That's a whatever. It's not really part of a funnel in that it's not used to direct the traffic in different directions.
I think it can be though. I mean, I think like the way that we think about survey element, right, is for the purpose of customer segmentation and lead generation.
Well, yeah, that's the way we think of it. That's not necessarily what people mean when they say they want a survey element. Some people say, "Oh, I want a survey element," and somebody will say, "We'll go use Typeform."
Right.
Well, I mean, I guess you can set Typeform up that way, but that's not normally how people use it.
What do you mean?
Well, people normally don't use Typeform to put in like 3 questions and have a bucket question, which then redirects people somewhere.
Why
normally
not?
Somebody uses because they normally don't use it that way. I certainly don't see it being used that way.
Oh, I see it used that way all the time. But that might just be because I'm the one doing it. Because it's just such a better survey tool and experience, and the data actually goes into meaningful places to do something with it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's interesting though. Yeah. Anyway, but it's at the top. So, okay. So Dan, I think is there anything else that I missed on the pulse that's important for us to call out?
No, I don't think so.
Here's one thing that I think is interesting. So 358 people gave it a like or a heart. It doesn't tell us, 63,000 viewed it, which again is like, it's encouraging, right? For 63,000. I'm wondering how much of like their total customer base, like if we go to ClickFunnels official, right? And like, how many people do they have on there? I'm just always so curious on like who's all really watching 2.0 versus who's kind of just like waiting for it to be ready. You know what I mean? And then they'll jump.
Oh, I think there's a lot of people who are waiting for it to be ready. And there's a lot of people who jumped in, found out it wasn't as ready as they thought it was, and jumped out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I had somebody the other day who's a long time ClickFunnels user. Actually, 10 years ago, he was running a company where they were selling leads to Russell at the time. And so he's been in ClickFunnels, around ClickFunnels since before ClickFunnels existed. And he's asking me about going to Go High Level.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't like the automations in 1.0. I said, well, then go use Active Campaign.
Right.
And I said, and I don't know how to use it, so don't ask me.
Tell them to come to GeekOut. We'll teach you how to use Active Campaign.
Send them to YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, because Active Campaign is definitely powerful. The last thing that I'll mention, and they did mention this on the Pulse, is the analytics power, which is again, it is very. I'm loving that part of 2.0. So being able, and I was wondering, like, I think it's because we don't have a lot of stats on it, but being able to, let's go to analytics, and see the page views and the orders and the sales at every single step. I think that is just awesome. being able to see, who's at what step and how many people went through. I love that. I love that part. And that's just today. We can, of course, go to last year, and then it, has all of the data, which is just awesome. So, yep, very cool. Okay, Dan, do you want to highlight some of the other videos that it's important that people know about?
Well, they're not. Most of these are not actually in. Well, some of these I think are in the group. Some of them aren't. Mm-hmm. Some of them probably never will be in the group. Some will be. A lot of them are going to go into the GeekOut Academy training and other trainings, depending on where they end up. Because some of them are 1.0, some of them are 2.0. But how do I forget here? How do I share my screen?
Let me stop sharing.
Do you need to turn something on?
You just have to share your screen. Right-click share screen.
I don't see anything on here to share the screen.
Let's see. On the bottom of your StreamYard, do you see a present?
No. Yeah, the only thing I see is where I can edit my picture and turn off my microphone and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I don't see anything else on here.
That's interesting. Okay. Is there some place where I can go to show?
No, because I have 14 tabs open.
Oh, okay.
I wonder what happened if I reloaded this page. I might lose you. I guess we'll find out. Here it goes.
Okay. Fingers crossed. We've lost him. We've lost Dan. That's all right. I'm sure he'll be right back. All right. There he comes in. Here we go.
And I still see nothing.
Huh.
Nothing that says I can present.
I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Okay. I went to full screen and now it says I can present.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so here we go. Share screen, and let me see. Entire screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
I'm going to add it to the stream. There you go.
All right, so you're seeing Russell, you're seeing us.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I will pull this over so that we don't see double of us. Okay, so like I was saying, 14 videos. There may even be more that I created. It doesn't really matter. But here's the Voomly one that we just put into the group. So again, you can walk through, you can see exactly how it works. And then I go into the editor and I go through and I show exactly how to set everything up, all the different variations on the images. And like I said, there's even stuff in here that was so far beyond where I was even at that I just left it alone, but it'll give you a really good start on how to get this stuff set up. And one of the things that they said the other day, though, that I found was interesting on the Pulse was that they're putting something to do with taxes into every product now. And whether you collect the taxes or not, they said just simply for accounting purposes, so that you can show it to your accountant at the end of the year, there was something in there you should do about taxes. So if you have not gone to the Pulse, let me see if I can find the page here. So it's clickfunnels.com/pulse. And the old recordings are right down here at the bottom. So here we got Universal Products. Watch the replay. So you can watch that if you're at all interested in the thing that they said about the taxes. So then let me see here then. This is the one that we were just showing where you can redirect a root domain to any funnel, any page, anything, any funnel step, or it could be funnel step. It could be any funnel page. It could be anything inside of ClickFunnels, or for that matter, anywhere else on the planet. And then this one here, talking about surveys, what I did in this example here, and I'll show you where the original idea came from. Somebody had this question in the Funnel Builder certification group that they said, okay, this guy had this drop down. So it's just, this is 1.0, could be done exactly the same in 2.0. It's just a custom drop down with like 5 different options. And based upon the option that they choose, they then will go to a different page. And so that's what I built out in here, is exactly that functionality. So not only does it send you to a different page based upon what option you chose, but it will also then save that option that they chose into the customer's database. Now, right now with 2.0, I don't think you can see that, but it is being saved is what I've been told. But in 1.0, you can actually see it. And then you could, if you wanted to, you could zap that to a Google Sheet or something like that for that information. So it's basically a way that you can build a survey very easily, very quickly, with just a couple of elements inside of 1.0 or 2.0, and just use it basically as their bucket question.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And then here we're talking about how sections can behave as elements. And let me see if I can find where we turn that on. Probably not. Well, there's a little thing up here when you click on your settings and you come down and you can say, make your sections behave like, make your sections behave like elements. You just turn that on. And then what you can do is you can come into any column, or anywhere where you can put in an element. And you can, instead of putting in an element, you actually drop in a section instead. So that's exactly what we did just here. So instead of this being an element, this is a section. And then inside of that section, again, you could put in like an example of a 3-column row. We could put inside of there, and we could put in a bunch of icons, do whatever you want. It's a lot easier than using Flex. I mean, I love Flex, but the Flex element inside of ClickFunnels can get a little wonky sometimes. So if possible, just do this, insert the section into the element, and it's actually much, much easier and cleaner than using Flex on a lot of stuff. So again, like I said, these are all things that basically somebody had a question here. How do I rebuild this to look like this inside of 2.0? So I shot him a video on exactly how to rebuild this thing inside of 2.0. And then here we got accordions. So you got your FAQs on your page. Let's turn this into an accordion instead. And so here we had just simply using elements on the page. We just create a simple little drop down using a little bit of JavaScript code. And so when somebody clicks on this headline, the icon will rotate, the content will slide down, and vice versa. And then I show a couple variations on how to set it up. And then here I did another one because the guy who was asking me about this is like, well, if you can do it with just text elements, can we also do it with entire rows or sections? So then in this case here, if somebody clicks on this blue headline, the icon will rotate and this entire row will slide down from underneath it.
Which is really nice because basically FAQs, right? Like this is the technology that's needed whenever we do FAQs.
Yeah, so FAQ, I mean, that's what mostly people use it for, but you can use this kind of an accordion for anything. We use the exact same thing, more or less, in a lot of our membership site builds where we'll have a header. So we have a video, then we'll have a couple of headers underneath, and then you click on that header and then opens up the content, and then the person can read it, do their check marks, put in the content, put in if we ask questions. We have that ability inside of.
And of course, you had to put cute cats on there, Dan. That's very cute.
Well, the funny thing is because I'm going through the funnel builder certification, and after a while, after you build a couple of these funnels, you just like going, okay, well, what's this funnel going to be about? And one of my most recent ones, I was building it about how to become a cat wrangler. And so I had like 4 different videos on the screen. And so the first one had 1 kitten on it. The second one had 2 kittens on it. And so that's where these ended up there. So I just dropped them in there real quick.
I love it.
And save form and stay on the page. Okay. So this client here was asking, how can we, so he wanted to put in an email address and then click on this button. And when you click on the button, make this part of the screen disappear and have another part appear, but save the email address, but not leave the page. And so that's what we did in this one here. Again, a little bit of JavaScript code. Come in here, and this is in 2.0, could be built in 1.0. And most anything you see that I've ever built in 1.0, we can rebuild that exact same thing in 2.0. It's all pretty much the exact same functionality. Might have to, tweak it a little bit, but for the most part, that's how it works. So when somebody clicks on this button, this big green blob will appear, and this part up here will go away at the very end of the day on that. So it's a nice little thing if that's what you want, is to be able to, save somebody's information but stay on the page.
Yeah, that's really nice. Nicely done, Dan. Nicely done. I love it.
Yeah, that's only the first half of them here. Populated go to, here's a good one here. If you are sending somebody to a Calendly link to get signed up, come in, put in their first, last name, and email address, and click the button, takes them to Calendly, and it auto-populates their name and email into the Calendly form for them, so they don't have to do it themselves, which, somebody asked for it, so I built it. Let's just put it that way. And then here we got an OTO based on the bump purchase. So in this case here, we save somebody comes through this funnel here. We determine whether they bought the bump or not, and if they did or did not buy the bump, when they get to the OTO page, they'll see different products based upon that. And this one here was built in. Was this built in? Wait, was this 1.0 or 2.0? Okay, this is 1.0. This is built in 1.0. 2.0, I'm sure we could do something very similar. I'd have to look at it for 2.0 in that case there. This one here, I was just playing around with. People were asking questions of how could you get different colors and different stuff for a headline. And that's exactly what I was showing here, is how to use a little bit of CSS to be able to make your headline look like pretty much anything you wanted to. So as far as different colors, font weights, and even in this case here, we used a different font family. And what this font family is here is actually, it's a font family that are custom font that I uploaded into a CF 2.0. So I added a font from wherever I got it from, doesn't matter. And then I just said, okay, well, just this one word here, just make it that font.
That's cool.
Each one of these words in here, you could change into a different font if you wanted to.
And you did that in the CSS, right?
Yeah, this is all just CSS right here. This up here at the top was actually, I think this was the stack for when they were doing their big Voomly release. And so I looked at that stack and I said, okay, how can I reproduce that in 2.0? Because they just used an image. So I said, how can I reproduce this in 2.0 and also use the whole idea of having a section behave like an element, or the other way around. Element behave as a section, whatever it is, whatever it says in there. And I see here that in this case here, it's not, some of this stuff is supposed to be indented. It's not, but I probably turned the CSS off when I was doing the other one, because I haven't shot a video on that one yet. And here,
Madison made a good point. She said the go-to link with email might also work for webinar field registration. I totally agree. That's a good call.
It will work for anything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The biggest thing you have to do is you have to find out the format that whoever the provider is. So in this case here, I built it for Calendly, but whoever the provider is, they have to say, okay, when you do this, send it in this particular format.
Right.
And then we have to build that format out in the code, and then you can send it over there. But they all have, I mean, if they have that functionality, they'll tell you the format that they need. And here I was just shooting a video for somebody showing them how to embed a Voomly video into 2.0 because they said it couldn't be done. And I said, of course it can be. And then here's something that a lot of people don't like, and I don't blame them. See if I can get it to pop up, where you click on an input element and it takes where it said full name here and then it slides it up.
Yeah.
You ever see that? Everybody's complaining that they don't like that.
Yeah.
So I wrote the code in here to turn that off, so you don't have to see that anymore. And
nice.
So I fixed that up there. And then what's the last one I had here? This one was actually ended up being cool because Somebody had the question is how can you use a Voomly video as the background of a page?
Oh, yeah.
And so I built this out so that that's exactly what you could do. Basically, what I did is I took a section and I put the Voomly video on the background of the section, made the section cover the entirety of the page, and then I fixed it in place. So then all the other sections below it will just scroll up over the top.
Oh,
So
okay.
it gives you the appearance of it being background video on the whole page. It technically isn't, but that's certainly what it looks like by the time you're done with it.
That's cool.
Yeah, because here's like another section that is over the top of a
Right.
section that is behind it.
Right.
So
Very cool.
that's just a few of the things I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, along with a whole bunch of other stuff.
That is awesome. That is so awesome, Dan. So cool. So
like
all of that to say, what's that?
Some of this will be available for free. Some will be in the group. Some of it will be in the paid trainings, and it'll be a lot of different places.
Yes. So like Dan said, he is graciously giving it to a lot of the Geek Out members in the Geek Out group. So check it out. Again, Dan's videos are hugely helpful, especially if you want to go deep into making ClickFunnels bend to your will. It's amazing at that. So I would highly encourage you to check that out. So I think as we wrap up and we come to the end of the hour, I just have one announcement for what is coming. A couple teasers. We are trying to get a couple guests on here. I don't know if we should tell them, Dan. I think we should just let it be a surprise.
No,
well, we're trying to get Winter back.
have you never seen 24? I mean, come on. Or
I
any
know.
other show these days. You got to
I know.
put it out there, tease it, you know?
All right. We do have a couple folks that we have identified that we really want to have come on the show. We want to have Winter back and talk a little bit more about his the stuff he's doing with AI, which is pretty impressive. And then you had one, Dan, actually, that you were targeting too.
Targeting.
I know that sounds so bad, right?
My understanding is Turner Leslie had reached out to Susan. He was talking about maybe coming on. He's the head of the ClickFunnels affiliate program. We would all love to have Ben Moot on. So we have our attorneys. We've flown them all in from around the world at this point here. But you know, he wanted his own trailer, and we just can't afford a trailer for him. So we're not sure about Ben at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So we have some good lineups hopefully coming your way. And then we also have our book club, which I got to tell you guys, the discussions that we're having on those Tuesday sessions are so cool. It's amazing. I think especially when you start drinking the ClickFunnels Kool-Aid, right? You get really excited and you want to talk to other people about the ClickFunnels Kool-Aid, and not just about funnel builds, but funnel strategy and how that translates into your own business and how, you know, what's working, what's not working. And so we are, of course, starting with .com secrets. And this next week, so we've done chapters 1 and 2. We're going to get into secret 3, which is the value ladder, which is super exciting. That one is huge too, just in terms of the funnels that he recommends on the value ladder. But I would say that you can either join and catch up. There's still time. Or if you just want to join, I think each one of these chapters stands in its own right. And so if you want to join at any point in time, we welcome anyone and everyone. The first 30 minutes where we give the overview and the review. And then the last 30 minutes, we have really cool deep dive discussions with our Geek Out Academy members. And it is a good time for all. I've really enjoyed every session. We've laughed, we've cried. No, I'm just kidding. But we have laughed a lot. It's been fantastic just to deep dive into everyone's world. I think the other thing that I'm loving about these book clubs, Dan, is that we're getting to know the members of our Geek Out Academy community. And we have some crazy talented people in our community. And so I think there's going to need to be some kind of like highlight of talents of some time, because their talents are just too good to stay quiet. So that was my big takeaway from last week's session.
Well, yeah, I think Betsy definitely got some good takeaways as far as what her offer should look like. So that was good for her.
Yeah, it was great. Yep. All right. So very cool. Looking forward then to seeing everybody next week. We will have, this is our first week of no geek camps. Next week, we won't have geek camps either. We do have something really big coming in March. So stay tuned. If that's not an open loop, I don't know what is.
Well,
So
yeah,
stay
you're gonna have to tell
tuned.
me what it is.
You know what it is. So stay tuned for what is coming in March. I think you guys are going to love it. It was based off of a lot of feedback and comments that we got from members in the community for how we can better serve you guys. So looking forward to that. And until then, have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks, Dan, so much. It's always a pleasure. And take care, everyone. Have a good day.